Hi, everybody. Liz Kahn here with Unique Behavioral Wellness Services. Here, as always, with Dr. James Jernigan of Cornerstone Chiropractic. Today, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I actually started working with Dr. Jernigan because of something that he taught me about C-sections.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk about this in a really just information-based sort of way.
There's no, and when we bring up awareness, a lot of times what we don't bring up, but a lot of times when we bring up awareness, a common thing can be guilt, shame, you feel bad about, what happened, and that is absolutely not what we're here to do. What we want to do is be able to bring awareness and action steps afterwards of what you can do to make those changes.
Right, and specifically the changes that we're talking about today are going to be those neurological things that happen as a result of the way that C-sections are performed. Now, again, we got to have these babies come out, right?
Yes, because C-sections, they save a lot of lives for mom and for baby. And so, what we're not saying is we need to end all C-sections.
No.
But one valid thing is, it's common knowledge that if you start to Google it, you're going to start finding that about 1 in 10, about 10% of births, that's what the maximum amount of C-section rate should be. Should be. But I think that national average right now is around 35%, but upwards of some hospitals, 40, 50, 60%. And that's just, now we're getting a little bit out of control.
Well, and there probably are a lot of reasons for that.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? As I was saying, when my son was born, I think it was more like 60% of the babies that were born that day were in the NICU with us. So it was a lot. And again, we're not pointing fingers. We're not saying doctors were wrong. We're not.
Yeah.
But of these C-sections, of these emergency C-sections, of these NICU babies, how many of them and it doesn't even matter how many of them, if any of them show up with certain observable signs that they're not developing on schedule, what could be one of the reasons physiologically for that? And we're not going to say it's the C-section.
No, yeah, because even natural births there can be significant stress on the spine of a newborn. And the Journal of American Osteopathic Association, they did a study and they found that it was in 2016, 99% of newborns, and that was uncomplicated births, had signs of misalignments in their spine. And that was from the Osteopathic Journal. So what we're saying is, whether C-section or regular delivery, we're going to start talking about things that you might be noticing about your child that maybe they have a misalignment in their spine.
A misalignment?
Yeah.
Misalignments don't require medications, not usually.
No.
They don't require teams of behaviorists. I'm a behaviorist, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't require teams of behaviorists to come to your house and train everybody in different ways.
And sometimes you might not even notice it. There might be just little subtle clues. Like maybe your baby can nurse on one side, but they can't nurse on the other. Or maybe their head can, turn one way really well, but the other side it's caught, or it was like a little bit of a
That's
tightness.
Not because it's a bad mom?
No,
it's not because you're
right. And it's like a lot of times there's just one little thing that happens, and it can cause a whole host of other things like colic, reflux, trouble nursing, trouble sleeping. All of those things can be misalignments in the upper part of their neck.
My child screamed for 3 months. Where were you? Okay, no, we'll come to that later.
Right, and wherever you are across North America, you just type your zip code in, and we'll find a chiropractor that can help you just to see if there is a misalignment, if maybe chiropractic can help you with those things.
Well, and when you talk about seeing if there's a misalignment, are you talking about putting my kid through a ton of x-rays and you're already shaking your head?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Because first we want, just assessing a baby or a newborn, a lot of times there's a lot of postural changes that we can see, and we can check different reflexes to see if there is a problem, and if so, where. And it's very gentle. So I like to say, if you put your pinky over your eyelid and you press down, before it causes any pain, that's really that's all the pressure that it takes.
Try it.
Especially within the first year of their life, because they're so little, they're so delicate, and just a little bit of a change can drastically change not only their present life, but then their future as well.
So a little change and adjusting the spine, it allows, and you're going to have to correct me because I know I'm not going to get it right, but the central nervous system communicates with every part of your body, right?
Absolutely.
And the spine, if it's not lined up properly, it has an effect on that communication system.
Yeah, and then I'd like to do a talk, which you came to.
That was what
the Perfect Storm talk, where I go into 5 neurological keys or elements to what happens to the spine, what happens to your whole body when there's misalignments and fixations in the spine.
It's so amazing because whether it's an infant, my kid was 8 when he started. I was not 8 when I started. But I mean,
most people, yeah.
It's that communication system is so important. But you brought up something else that was really important. And that is that if you're feeling guilt or shame, in my case it was anger, those don't help us focus on how we're going to help our kids. Right? And so, I know when I told my dad that I was going to bring Joshua to a chiropractor, my dad was like, he's only 8, he doesn't need chiropractics. But when he saw the difference and he hears the communication has increased and he's so excited about sharing stories, like, in a million years, my dad would never have said, take your kid to a chiropractor, but now that's all he can talk about, like all of the wonderful benefits that he sees in his grandchild. What's it been? Just a couple of months.
Yeah.
Just a couple of months. And the changes happened a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, when did this kid start talking so much?
I remember, Sarah's first time talking with him. And she was having an awesome conversation with him, if I can share a little bit.
Please.
Yeah, and Sarah was talking with him, and they're, like, talking about swimming and diving, and he's, like, all these things. And Sarah's just having a great conversation with him. And then, Liz, you started,
I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I didn't even know that he was diving. Like, it was just like he started to...
He's sharing.
It went from, we swam twice, because I remember when we first came,
it
was like, we swam twice. And then it came into this whole, like, he was talking about the teachers, he was talking about the instructors, the
other kids.
The experience that he was having with it.
Made my heart grow. It was beautiful.
Amazing, and we love being able to see that. Right. And really what it is in our office, we don't look about what's wrong with people. With children, what we do is we see, hey, what's holding them back from becoming everything that they were created to be? Right. Because as a mom, I mean, I'm not a parent, but I'm pretty sure that when I have kids, I'm going to see all of the greatness that's in them and want to be able to, in any way, be able to bring that out and let it shine in whatever, whether it's in sports or whatever it is. Like, I want it to be able to let them grow to become who they were created to be, who they want to be.
And it's hard sometimes. So my son ended up with an autism diagnosis at age 3, largely because of the communication issues that drastically changed in the course of, 2 weeks of getting chiropractic care. So, like, he would not have met criteria for an autism diagnosis if we had started here. Not to say that that's true of every kid.
Sure.
Right? I mean, but when we look at autism and a lot of these childhood developmental issues, they're all symptom-based and they're all observation-based, right? So is your kid capable of doing X, Y, and Z with strangers, which is the other fun part. And, if he's not, then he gets the diagnosis, he gets the treatment, and, in our case, he lost the diagnosis within a year because he got a lot of phenomenal support. And because, I don't know, there was a lot of movement. Actually, he lost the diagnosis not long after we started bilateral movement.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that we can do to help our children grow and thrive. I know that one of the best choices I made was bringing Joshua here. Now, that started because I saw the C-section video, not because I was listening to the things that you do for children who have developmental issues, which is the other part of this guy's practice. The changes that I've seen.
ADHD, sensory processing disorder, and autism is really what we opened this office to be able to go out and really put a stamp on, is because we want to be able to, we see the drastic changes, and we want to be able to do that because unfortunately those numbers are continuing to rise. And one really quick illustration with a C-section is 60 to 90 pounds of traction on the baby's neck.
Traction.
Yep. So like pulling up, right?
Okay.
And then there's twisting and all of that goes into it. But here's what I want to say is, if there was a little kid, maybe right here between us in a car seat, and somebody came in the door and then unstrapped the car seat and just picked them up by their head. Like, I don't know, like, every single person in the room, the neighbors, after we're yelling, are to come over and we're going to attack this guy
right.
because it is extremely.
We're always worried about,
like, what's the first thing you do, right?
Watch the head, watch the head,
careful
right?
Head, careful head. And so what we're not saying is that C-sections are irrelevant or they're bad, but there's a time and place for them. Now, on the back end of it, even with a normal birth, like being able just to check, like, hey, is my baby's spine in alignment, you know? And it's so gentle and it's so crazy. Like, we could do probably 4 hours just talking about it.
I know. Well, and truly, I never thought of chiropractics as gentle until I met you.
Yeah.
And I've had some wonderful chiropractors, but it was never gentle. And, like, I don't know, you got to look for the people who can support your family's growth, development, ability to thrive. Mm-hmm. And there are people who can do it physically, emotionally. We've got so many phenomenal resources for whatever you need, even apothecary. Like, we don't need, sometimes we need medications, but we don't need all the extra stuff that goes into it. Compounding pharmacies, like, there are so many ways that we can reduce the things that our bodies don't need. Yeah. I'm going to use his words now. We're going to reduce the things that our bodies don't need and maximize the things that our bodies do need. And we can all do really, really well. Look at how much time we've spent.
Man.
It's so much fun talking
to you
guys.
We're just getting started. Awesome. Well, we're going to be doing more videos about this because there's a lot of different layers. And then I was actually even thinking I need to do a webinar so that you don't even have to leave your house and you can start to find out all the different ramifications.
He's got good stuff. Now it's definitely time.
All right. We love you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.